What up, YouTube? This is Steven, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk about something that I don't really hear come up a lot, but we all know about it, right? And pretty much the topic of this video is, how do you determine if a racially ambiguous person is black / African American or not? How do you know that racially ambiguous person is your people, right? How do you know that? And by the way, before people come in the comment section complaining, this is about people who claim people who are part black or who may not look black as black. If you're not one of those people, then this video is not for you. And this is your cue and your time to exit, right? Because I really don't want to hear any comments I don't want to see any comments in the comments section saying like, oh, well, if you had to guess, then they're not black, or oh, if they, why should we have to be guessing? If you're black, you look like this. I don't want to hear that. All right. This ain't the video for you. See you in the next video. All right. But to the people who this video is for, let's talk about it. Let's discuss this a little bit. So what do you look for when you're deciding who's black, right? Particularly when it comes to, racially ambiguous folks, right? Of course, we know that monoracial folks, obviously we can look at them and say that they're black, right? But this is more so towards the racially ambiguous people who may have, a look that may not totally register as black, but you may be able to spot some of the blackness in them, and you may be like, hey, that person's black, right? Black / African American, they're part of the community, right? Some cues we can look for are cultural, right? Cultural. Perhaps like a person's name, if they have a name like, say, Rashid or Rashida Jones, right? Then I'm thinking, okay, you probably have a relation to someone who's black. Of course, it's not 100%, but that's a good, that would raise a red flag for me, right? If I was looking at someone who looks white, but they have a name like Rashida Jones, right? Like, where did that name come from? Right? Another cultural cue, that you can look for is, the way that they talk, the way that a person talks, the vocabulary they use, the cadence of their voice, right? Of course, this is not 100%, foolproof, but, it's a cue that you can look for, right? Like, if they're using a lot of slang, a lot of black slang, speaking in African American vernacular English, raise a red flag for me, right? Another way is like, the way that a person dresses, right? The way that people dress often signifies culture, right? But this probably isn't the best way because, in fact, really cultural things aren't really the best way, right? But those, cultural things are some of the things that we can look for, right? But since race is more so biological, of course, there's a sociocultural aspect to race. Of course, we know that. But race is more so biological, right? So when it comes to the biological things, right, our features, our phenotype, right? What are some of the things that we look for as black folks, right? What are some of the things we look for, So one thing, I think maybe the lips, sometimes the lips, this isn't 100% of the time, of course, but sometimes the lips kind of have a certain look to them when it's like, has like some black influence in them, like lips that don't quit, Um, the nose, a certain shaped nose, right? Of course, there's black people who do have like thin noses, and of course, there's black people who have broad noses, right? I say a nose is one of those things. Let's see. Skin tone, right? Um, if your skin has a certain look to it, right? Because you can kind of see, sometimes you can kind of see from a person's skin tone if you know what to look for, if it has like a certain influence in it, you know? Because I think I mentioned this before, but I think black people tend to have sort of a richness to their skin tone that I don't see in every single brown person's skin tone, right? Um, you know, that's something to look for too. Um, let's see. Another one that I think some people may not notice is the shape of a person's head. I think that is a signifier of race too, because I think West African people tend to have like kind of like a round head. Because I think my look does sort of sync up to a West African look as far as like the structure of my head is concerned. You know, of course, the skin tone would throw people, right? But um, yeah, I think the shape of that person's head can signify kind of like race too, right? Um, and of course, sometimes just we as black people can kind of, we might not be able to point out why we think the person is black, but something in us sort of like registers as black, but we can't put our finger on it. But it's like just something about you and your look makes me think that you might be part of my tribe, right? It's like that sixth sense that black people have when it comes to spotting who's black and who's not black. And I think that's because we're so used to black people in different variations, right? We're used to the variations of black people, right? Of course, from like, the um, the dark skin to your peanut butter to your light skinned folks and even to your white passing people. You know, when it comes to white passing people, especially, one thing that always, like one thing that I really look for, and one thing that oftentimes really hits the nail on the head and decides whether someone is black or not black is, above all else, hair texture. Our hair texture is very unique. You know, I know that there are other racial groups who do sort of have that kind of like, kinky, coarse hair texture, but mainly that's us. I know there's like some groups, some other groups outside of blackness who have it, but mainly that is us, right? Our hair texture, right? Um, for me, like for me personally, you know, I do look for hair texture, and oftentimes when I'm looking at celebrities who I'm thinking, I wonder if they're part black, wonder if they're, part of the community or whatnot. Oftentimes, if you look at the childhood photos, especially when it comes to like the guys, the afro, you always got like that, those childhood photos of like that big afro, right? Um, like Vin Diesel, he has some photos floating around of him with an afro, right? And The Rock too. Um, so yeah, like the hair texture, right? Um, I know for me personally, I tend to look more ambiguous with the less hair I have, right? If I have my hair in like an afro, you know, it's a little different, right? I think you would be able to spot blackness a little bit better um, if I have my hair in an like a more if I have my hair out like grown out, right? Let's see. For example, let me show you some photos. A few photos, not to be centering of self, but all right. Um, like this photo, for instance, right? Look at the hair texture, right? And the facial hair too, right? Those things signal like something to you, right? Especially the hair texture. Um, like for me, those things are like markers. And here is another one, right? Who else got that hair texture, right? Who else coming through with that hair texture, right? You know it's some black influence in that hair texture, don't you? Right? Come on. Black folks know. And also, sidebar, I know I heard like some Peruvian people can kind of spot Peruvianness in people too. That came up because like somebody, well, maybe I shouldn't go into that, but yeah. But let's talk about like when I remove those things, right? When I remove the hair and the facial hair, then it's different, right? I wish this photo would look a little better. Well, the photo looks good, but it's just not registering well on the camera. Hmm. I guess that's good enough. All right. So you notice that it's a bit more ambiguous, right? So, again, the hair texture, right? Hair, for some reason, as frivolous as hair seems, it does seem to be important, you know? And I'll show you one more photo, but this photo is a photo of actually me with my father. And I'll show you how hair texture can sort of signify something, right? It's something like the hair texture, right? And by the way, this photo is like really old. This photo is from the early to mid 90s, right? And as well, my father is deceased. FYI. All right. So here we go. I hope it looks good on the camera. The camera's acting funny. All right. There's a photo of my father and I. Again, this photo is very, very not old. Well, not very, very old, but it's from the mid to early 90s. So here we go. All right. All right. So here's a photo of me and my father. All right. All right. And again, the hair texture, right? Because when the hair is, my father's hair is cut low, mm, yeah, pretty much just like very ambiguous. Not even ambiguous, probably. Very much white passing, right? I think this is probably signaling more ambiguous. Right? The contrast is a little weird, um, but I think this pretty much did. But yeah, like this, right? Again, the hair texture, right? It sort of signifies something to you, right? But again, take away the hair texture. Will you be able to pick up on stuff that's quickly? Probably not, right? All right. So there you go. So yeah, those are just some examples, right? Not to be self-centered or self-absorbed, right? But if you don't like it, too bad. Don't watch it. All right. So I guess I've said all I have to say. So what do you look for? Feel free to let me know. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. It's very appreciated. As well, the support is extremely appreciated, and I have been seeing the subscriptions coming in. I'm like, wow, like people actually subscribe? What? So thanks a lot. Adios and goodbye for now.